This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show. We have another amazing guest this week who she actually overcame a common issue that's becoming common today, but it's not a common way she treated it. So I'm going to have her introduce herself and her story, and I'll be asking her questions along the way. So welcome to the Real Life Health Show, everybody. Liana.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Paul.
It's a pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for taking the time out to be here. We have so much to talk about, but first, tell everybody a little about yourself, because you actually, we'll talk later about your passion of your healing to let everyone else know, but actually, what happened to you? Why are you a guest on my show today?
Great question. How I got into this whole health, industry path was it started many years ago. I was 21 years old and I got really sick, hit completely rock bottom with my health, and had a tumor just pop one day in my lymphatic system. And so I'd read a book years ago about natural cures, and I knew that people around the world were healing themselves naturally. So I took time out and went and healed 3 months later, and completely better.
Well,
so here I am.
Wow. Now, so it took you 3 months to heal from a tumor. Wow. Now, what do you know what led up to this? How were you eating and living prior to this happening?
I was completely trashing my body. I think from 17 to 21, that's a good 4 years of binge eating on junk food. I would go through 3 or 4 days of the week, I'd be really healthy and I'd feel good. And then I would eat just chips and chocolate and lollies and feel absolutely disgusting and sick, and question, okay, why am I eating this food that has absolutely no nutritional value at all? It feels good for 5 minutes and then my body has to deal with processing it after. Ugh, it just felt gross. And then yeah, I got really sick. I guess it was my body's way of saying you have to stop this, you can't keep doing this for the rest of your life. And yeah, now that's completely different.
Now, did you get sick often, when you were eating this way, or was it just you felt great and one day you have a tumor?
I mean, I felt tired when I would eat junk food, obviously, just tired and just kind of toxic in my body. I could feel my cells had a lot of toxic energy in them.
Now, you're not from the United States. You told me you grew up in Australia, but not even in a city in Australia. You grew up in the bush in Australia, which for those of you that are listening don't know that's in the desert. And
yes.
And so I know the mentality there is different than a fast-paced society people live in today. It's I read a book years ago, I think it was called Mutant Message Down Under, by a lady named Margot or something, and it was about her leaving the big city and going to the bush. So many of diseases today are connected to just this adrenal exhaustion from the big city life. You growing up out there, was it easier or harder for you to get more back to living a natural, healthy lifestyle?
I guess it was easier, and I never really noticed the difference because I hadn't really lived in a city. And I went to school with half Aboriginal Indigenous kids and half white kids, and our school would take us on school excursions out bush and teach us how to survive off the land. So if we ever got, I don't know, stuck in the bush, we would know how to get water from the trees and know how to eat the bush tucker and find the witchetty grubs in the bark. So it was a very natural kind of lifestyle out there, nearly.
Well, when did you go from eating natural foods and living off the land? Most people never even walk barefoot outside their front door, and out there I assume you've done it often, which is very healthy, by the way, everybody. But when did you actually go from living this somewhat natural lifestyle to switching from eating off the land to eating Hershey chocolate bars?
I guess when I moved out of home, when I left, my family and went to the city, and I was kind of okay, now I'm on my own in this city, and I'm studying at college, and I'm busy, and I have to I would buy a lot of my food out. I would buy a lot of sushi, which sushi has sugar in the rice, which isn't that good. So I guess that's when it all kind of changed, when I moved out of home, because my mom would always restrict us when we were growing up. She wouldn't give us a lot of junk food. She didn't give us much chocolate and lollies. I don't know, maybe that's why I binged on it all when I left home, but that was my experience anyway.
Wow. And how was the health of the people in the village where you grew up? What was there the typical diseases that are of the world today, or were people did they live much longer and were much healthier?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a lot of sickness actually. I didn't see people that were like there weren't a lot of fat kids at school and fat people. There still isn't in that town really. And I don't remember any of my friends' family like dying of cancer and stuff like that. So it seems like it's a very healthy place. And actually, the town now only has like one airline that flies there. So in it doesn't have a lot of like chaotic kind of energy from from the airlines and the pollution and all of that. It's very just fresh air, clean water.
Wow.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
now you've made one of just the most dramatic moves. Is now you're in the big city of New York, which is a complete opposite. And but let's talk about your healing here, because what made you decide? At any point did you seek, like you went to the medical doctors to get diagnosed, correct?
Yes, I did. I had a biopsy, and yeah, I went through some tests and stuff like that. And I just kind of knew that I wouldn't take their treatments or what they had to offer. Like they tried to sell me some cervical cancer shots and things while I was there, and I was like, this doesn't really feel like a healing place. So I left.
Well,
And
when did you get when you got sick? Did you develop did you just start to develop the tumor, or did you feel sick at first?
actually, I felt like I was working a lot, and I just felt really just tired one day, but felt excited. I was out with some friends at this music awards festival, and it just popped like that, and it was massive, and I'm like, that's really weird. And then I thought it was just like a swollen gland, so I went and ate some garlic and some ginger, and I left it for 2 weeks. I thought, oh, it's just a swollen gland, and I tried to sleep, and I just kept getting worse and worse. And I went to see my naturopath, and she's like, you should definitely go get that checked out, because she had something similar. And so then I went and got it checked out, and then got, the x-rays and the biopsy and the tests, and realized, okay, this is like a lump massive tumor that should not be in my body, and definitely not in my lymphatic system. So yeah, as soon as I got those results, I just kind of left and went and did my own kind of thing. But I knew I would heal naturally, like I just knew that.
Well, I know you're from another country, but when you say it just popped, what? Give us the New York version of that. What does that mean? It just appeared?
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't even know that could happen. Like it just in one moment, it was just.
How big was it? The size of a golf ball or smaller?
Yes, exactly. It got bigger. Like because I ignored it for those 2 weeks, it got bigger and bigger and harder, and just like, yeah, it was like when I went like that, you could see it was a big.
Did
Big
you
scary
take any
lump.
pictures at the time?
I don't have pictures, but I mean, I have X-rays and stuff like that of it.
Wow. And so did they diagnosed it as a tumor?
Yes.
And did they right away tell you we have to do surgery and chemo and the whole nine yards, or?
No, they didn't. I kind of went in there, like, who I was and telling them, what I was doing, and that I would heal naturally. So they kind of like looked at me like I was this hippie that they couldn't really get through to. So I guess they didn't really take me that seriously. I just said, thanks for the results. I'm gonna take it from here and leave, and that was that. But my mom just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had surgery a couple weeks ago, and they kept, she didn't want to do chemo or radiation because, as you know, I mean that can harm the body a lot more than actually do good. But they kept calling her and calling her and calling her and trying to get her to do it because they make so much money from it. But yeah, that wasn't my path, and it's not her path, and we didn't need it.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you did after you got out of the doctors? What's the first thing you did?
First thing I did, I got into my car and I drove to my naturopath's, and I lived there with my, so she's a natural doctor, right, naturopath, and I lived there with her for 3 months.
Is she in the United States?
No, she's in Australia. So this was when I was living in Brisbane City. And yeah, so I kind of like moved out of the city, and she has this really nice place, just kind of between the Gold Coast and the city, with a lot of trees around and nature and very peaceful kind of area. So I went and did that, and I did a lot of sleeping, and I put bentonite clay on it to draw out the toxins. I did Epsom salts baths. I did a lot of juicing. Every day I had juice, and I ate a lot of good whole foods, raw foods, and I drank a lot of tea, lemon myrtle tea. I just did basically everything like natural, just to put a lot of nourishment into my body and get rid of all the toxic stuff.
Now, one of the important things people need to understand is at no point did you have any fear or anxiety in your mind. You knew you were going to heal from this and you were going to do this natural. Is that correct?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I went through periods of feeling absolutely like sick and disgusting in my body. I would lay there and be like, wow, what is this lesson that I have to learn from this? But yes, I knew the whole time that I would heal from it, that I wouldn't die from it. It did not feel right to get like more sick from that and die from it. I was so young too, so I definitely turned it into a lesson more than like, okay, this is going to kill me. And I think that's, yeah, definitely important when someone's healing, to know that they're going to do it.
Now, you might not be able to answer this now, but what if the doctors would have told you, you need to go to surgery right now, this is life-threatening immediately? Do you think you would have taken a different path, or were you sure right away, there's no way, absolutely no way?
Yeah, I was sure right away. I definitely, for myself, don't believe in surgery, because I feel like that's just cutting a piece of physical, like, you know, mass out, but then energetically it still exists there. So yeah, I wouldn't get surgery.
Now, as you were eating more natural, did it start to shrink, or did it fall off, or what?
Yeah, it started to shrink, exactly. It just got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it's gone.
Did you go back for any follow-up tests?
No, I went to LA after that and started working and playing.
Okay, and how has your life changed since that, from a diet standpoint?
Completely different and transformed. Like, I didn't realize growing up how much cooked foods I ate and how much meat I ate. So now I eat mostly like a raw vegan, and I juice, you know, almost every day, and I drink a lot of water, and yeah, complete shift in my body. And my cravings to like binge on junk food are less and less and less. To me, that was like, I was in a vicious cycle of whatever you want to call it, like addiction for a lot of years. And that, you know, that feeling, I thought, wow, I'm going to do this for my whole life. This sucks. I really thought I was completely trapped in it forever. So yeah, my life's completely transformed in every way because of the diet.
Wow. Now, as for your career, what did you do for work prior to this happening?
I was working in television at the time.
Okay. And is it still your passion to work in television, or did you switch your path?
I mostly work in film. I love film, and that's what I've done since I was a kid. And then when I got sick and then, you know, transformed my health, then now I'm doing like film and health. So my company is the Earth Diet, and if you go on the website, there's recipes for like every kind of eater, but using only ingredients that Earth provides naturally. So that's, you know, I'm so passionate just to share that with everyone as well.
Well, I wanted you to mention that because you've actually wrote a book that's coming out called The Earth Diet. And one of the things I like about your approach is you're not just telling everyone they need to be a vegan, or you're not telling people you need to eat meat. You're telling everybody, look, whatever way you decide to do it, here's a healthy way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just meeting people where they're at. And, you know, some people love to eat meat and they don't want to go like to being a raw vegan who's like juice fasting. So, you know, that's fair enough. Like, each person has to fulfill on their own whatever they want to do. So exactly, it caters for every kind of eater.
Yeah, and your website is called theearthdiet.org or .com. And
exactly.
I want everyone to go there and see it and get the book. Great. Now, besides this book, do you counsel people, or do you just go on with your career in film, and you let people just read the book and find where they have to be? What are you doing with that?
I definitely do. Like myself, and there's some other mentors on there, like holistic lifestyle coaches and personal trainers. We do programs for people, so people can go on and fill out this massive questionnaire, and we give them like a program to do for like a month of eating and, you know, exercising. And yeah, so we help mentor people through that. And I spend a lot of time on emails. I get a lot of emails every day from people that have diabetes or MS, or want to lose weight or want to gain weight. yeah, so I'm there doing that as well.
Now, do you believe every single person and every single cancer and every single time can be healed?
Yes, I do.
And do you believe that there is ever a reason to go to the medical doctor or for surgery or chemo or anything like that?
I do. Yeah, if someone believes it, then they should do that, definitely. You know, it's each to their own, and whatever you feel is right for you. And if someone believes that chemo and radiation is going to work for them, then, you know, and they know of the alternative and they still want to do chemo and radiation, then that's if that's what they feel comfortable with, then, you know, then do that. But for me, I would never get it.
Now, tell us, in your worst moment emotionally, like, I don't know if it was right when you got diagnosed or exactly when it happened or if you just had thought about it later on, but how did you feel? When was your lowest moment and how did you feel at that time?
My lowest moment was definitely like sitting in the. I just had my biopsy, and I was sitting in the waiting room for my results, and I was like completely present and saw like other people come in that were really sick, being in wheelchairs, and I was like, man, I was like, please, I hope I don't have cancer. And I said to myself, I said, if I don't have cancer, I'm going to be so grateful, and you know, I'll never trash my body again, and this and that, and I just remember feeling like, yeah, I'm very sad about like what I had going on at that time. But then there was another time when I was sick. I think it was like a month in, and I was laying there in bed, and this was the time that the healing happened, and I could feel this shift in my body, and I knew, okay, I've been dwelling in this like sick body for this past month. Okay, I feel it. I get it. I get the lesson, and I know that I want to feel healthy and feel alive. And so, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I'm definitely gonna live from this, so I may as well start completely healing. And it was that conversation I had that shifted everything. And then it just took a couple months for my body to catch up.
And now the doctor did in fact say you had cancer. The tumor was cancerous?
So the doctors that took my biopsy just basically handed me the results and said, this is like a lump mass of benign tumor in your lymphatic system. Then I saw like a lot of other natural doctors while I was healing, and another one said, you know, he looked at my results and said the cancer cells are active in this, and yeah.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Yeah, so you know, I stopped it from getting potentially like completely worse. I know that that was like, to me that was kind of like a light, you know, like lesson that it could have gotten worse and spread and gotten really disgusting and just spread throughout my whole body. And there's a girl who emails me right now, and she had the same thing, but in her like in her brain, and now it started off the same as mine, and now it's actually a really aggressive like cancerous tumor. So yeah, it was definitely cool to kind of like, you know, get it before it spread and got really worse.
Wow. And is that girl following your suggestions and health and diet, or not necessarily?
Yeah, she is. She's following it. I mean, she has a lot of pressure from her family. They want her to do chemo and radiation. She doesn't believe in it. And I mean, she's so young. She's 23 years old. And I just said to her, you know, if you don't want to do chemo and radiation, then you have to start getting really healthy and start healing so that the people around you aren't freaking out, you know, because they obviously want you to live. And so she's doing all the, you know, she's doing the earth diet. She's living from foods from the earth, and she's doing natural treatments.
Sure. And at any point, since this was on your neck, did it affect your breathing at all?
I mean, not really. Like my whole body was just sluggish in general. It affected every organ, and my digestive system was stagnant. I mean, it hurt when I would swallow and when I would eat, so I would speak less. Yeah, I mean, it affects everything. And the lymphatic system, to me, kind of stands for like harmony. So it was, my whole body was just off.
Wow. And how old did you say you were when this happened?
I was 21 years old.
Oh man, I just
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, I went through an experience with disease when I was 19 and found Hippocrates Health Institute and overcome this. But In one way, to be so young and go through this is so bad, but in another way, you haven't been brainwashed by the world yet, so it's not as bad, and you learned a valuable lesson. That's just amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely took it for a lesson. I'm so grateful now that I can share this with people. And, I know my story isn't that great compared to a lot of other healing stories that are out there, but, it worked for me and it can work for every single other human because we're all exactly the same, right? We're made up of the same stuff. So it's possible for everyone if they also want it.
They have to believe it. They really do. Now, you talk about sharing the message, and we each figure out the best way we can share it. And you've done a great job with your book here, The Earth Diet. And you have on your YouTube, on your website, you have a YouTube channel connected to that, which you have great videos. Get to the website, theearthdiet.org. Uh, Now, I want you to look in the camera and tell anyone who's suffering from disease there or young, any age, but specifically people that are young, that they don't think there's any hope. They've been diagnosed with the disease, no matter how severe it might seem. Uh, what message would you want to share with them?
Okay, mm, basically any disease, any cancer, any sickness, any whatever you've been diagnosed is curable. Everything is curable, and that's that. So I guess like once you get diagnosed, it's just a matter of finding out how you can cure that. And when you seek and ask and go on the internet and find people that have done it, you can also do those things to heal. And yeah, it's such an empowering lesson when you get sick because you really have to go within and ask those questions and transform yourself, your thinking, your health, everything. So yeah, try it out, do it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And,
Paul, thank you so much.
okay.
This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.